Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alex.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John. Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, or Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light, or Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, the Pyramid of Light, depending what mood you're in. Uh, yeah, the release dates of this film do tell a story. Released to cinemas in America, August 13th, 2004. Japan didn't get it till November 3rd, 2004. It released on DVD November 16th, 2004. Not even a month. They got it straight onto DVD. And then Toonami got it the next year, July 30th, 2005. This film moved quickly.
I'm sure the licensing fees, once they saw the box office receipts and critical response, were not particularly exorbitant, so they could position it quickly for the Toonami crowd.
Yeah, Alex,
Yeah,
this is your choice.
it was indeed my choice. I have a special place in my heart for Yu-Gi-Oh! I always will. For those in the audience who don't know, I have a master's degree in Egyptian linguistics. That is something that I actually studied, and I have articles in my name about the Akhenaten period of ancient Egypt floating around out there. It's kind of wild. But I always loved Yu-Gi-Oh! And I always loved how unhinged the Four Kids dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually is. And Pyramid of Light is so deeply unhinged in its dub. I mean, Dark Side of Dimensions is way worse when it comes to how unhinged it is, but this is where a lot of that starts. I actually saw a remastered version of this movie in theaters when V-Rains was coming out, because that is how much I love how bad this movie actually is. It's just a bigger episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! With better like animation and some fun stuff, and Seto Kaiba's wrestling heel entry into his own building.
I love that.
Is
I
is the,
Seto,
is the animation even better? Is the animation even better?
it's better than the main series. It is definitely better.
It's better but different. This everything in this film looks ever so slightly off.
It's the low-key fetish aesthetic of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I think is like really important and this movie understands. But we do have to talk about how Seto Kaiba is the best character in the movie.
This film does go hard on Seto, just will do anything but go to therapy.
Seto Kaiba can watch a monster appear in front of him and he's going to be like, nonsense, card games. Like, he could watch the world end and he wouldn't believe in all of this hocus pocus.
And he
Uh,
doesn't.
he doesn't for good reason. We should note the reason this dub is more unhinged than usual is this was 4 Kids film. This was spearheaded by the Americans, mostly because Pokemon did so well. They were like, we want all the Pokemon films and we want our other big hitter to have a film. And then the Japanese got it later. So yeah, this was built from the ground up to appeal to the Americans, which is interesting because Japan gets 13 extra minutes on this film. None of them add to the plot. But the Japanese dub hilariously points out several plot holes, just breaks the fourth wall. My favorite one is when Joey is fighting that random guy who has the injection fairy.
Oh yeah.
That guy cheats because he summons a monster that attacks on the same turn. You can't do that. Well, you couldn't do that. I'm sure there's a monster that can do it now, probably pendulum summoning or something. But in Japan, Joey goes, "That's not legal." It's like, good on you, Joey. Good
So
on that dubber.
I need everybody in the audience to also know I've been systematically torturing Sam with my picks. And I feel
I
bad
mean,
about it, kind of.
so full disclosure, like by the time Yu-Gi-Oh came around, or at least the Four Kids dub of it, had kind of like moved on to more like shonen level anime. So I was watching stuff like Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Rurouni Kenshin or Samurai X, whatever we're calling it. All that kind of stuff. Hellsing, I guess, was the original Full Metal Alchemist, Inuyasha, Outlaw Star, all the kind of more teenage oriented stuff. So I'd kind of moved away from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I have a cursory understanding of Yu-Gi-Oh. Certainly the idea between like Yugi and Pharaoh and the Millennium Puzzle and the fact that, Kaiba and all that. I was not aware how TCG centric this entire, because the movie is built entirely around one long TCG game.
I thought you were going to say tedious, not TCG, but both works
Yeah.
there.
I,
Yeah, not trading card game, tedious card game.
I think the thing I've always appreciated about Yu-Gi-Oh is in my mind, I'm open to disagreement about this. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh takes the stuff that anime does, which is taking very small things and making it feel grandiose and gigantic in the way that sports anime does, and just hitting the accelerator on something as innocuous as a card game. Like the other thing we all need to remember about Seto Kaiba, especially in this movie, Seto Kaiba is a D1 hater. He is hating on like a 10th grade level. Also, the other thing I want to point out is that in the dub, in the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh, the characters are mentioned to be 16 or 17 years old, roughly. And they mention, and Pegasus mentions that Kaiba's been getting his ass kicked by Yugi for 3 years. These are people who are close to or in their 20s at this point.
I do appreciate you pointing out the 3 year thing because, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, aside from the prologue, which kind of recounts the Millennium Puzzle thing, this does technically take place after the main show, right? After Duel Monsters?
No,
No,
this
it takes
one,
place after the Battle City arc.
yeah,
Oh.
this takes place after Battle City. Dark Side of Dimensions takes place after the entire thing because that's when Seto Kaiba breaks open the path to the ancient Egyptian underworld to go duel the pharaoh one last time.
Yeah, we should probably point out this film ruins the continuity by a country mile. Basically, yeah, this should come after the Battle City arc, but some of the footage you see at the start when they're all watching Yugi fight, that comes from after this film comes out. How the puzzle is put together doesn't fit what the manga told us, but to be fair, the Duel Monster anime never shows Yugi fixing the puzzle. At that point, it shows it later on and then uses then basically it recanonizes this film, except we never hear from Anubis again. Despite, in theory, playing this important role, he's never mentioned before or after this. We never explain why he goes from being a furry in the Vision to being a human outside of the Vision. None of these cards come back either.
They were, however, given out at the theatrical release.
They were, and they were banned immediately because they're broken.
They are extremely broken cards. Yugi does play Pout of Greed, though. He does play it in his duel.
In my notes, block caps, it's when Pot of Greed comes out, it's, he said the thing! It's just I draw 3 cards from my deck. Thank you. I can turn the film off now. We're good. We've seen Pot of Greed.
We're done. This is all I need.
I'm just there like wotering just for Pot of Greed. That's the character I'm here for. Go ahead.
Do you think this in comparison, I'm trying to remember, because we just covered Pokemon the first movie a month or so ago. And I think generally speaking, you can follow that if you've never seen an episode of Pokemon-ish, kind of, maybe. Watching this, like, can you imagine like some parent taking their kid, they're like, oh, this is like a Pokemon thing. Let's just do this. Can you imagine that?
No, this film, I think part of the reason we'll get onto it had a very bad reception is because it is incomprehensible if you are sort of someone going in with no knowledge of it. Just even that for like, because they do a really bad job. They have that little intro sequence which explains the puzzle, but doesn't explain it in a way that makes any sense unless you already know that. It doesn't do a good job of establishing who the Pharaoh is in compared to Yugi. This is a long episode. It is not a standalone feature.
It's a filler arc. It really does feel like this would have been a Yu-Gi-Oh filler arc in the same way that the Atlantean filler arc existed. Yes, that is a thing. The Orichalcos arc is also probably one of the better animated arcs of Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, no, this is not a movie for the Yu-Gi-Oh novice, I would say.
It doesn't help. And hilariously, this film hits 2 of my big problems with Yu-Gi-Oh as an anime. Because the card game sequences aren't just incomprehensible, they're stupid. They make no sense. They constantly break their own rules. They constantly break the rules of the game. You get stuff like Yugi can make a card with infinite attack, which is like, well, what's the point of any of this? There is
something to note about the anime is that when the anime was coming out originally, up until about midway through Battle City, the rules of the card game hadn't actually been come up with yet.
Yes.
Like, they didn't know how to play this game, so they've been making up the rules the entire time.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, that's because if you read the Duel
Sorry
Monsters,
to cut you off.
No, it's fine. Duel Monsters manga is Yugi just challenges people to deadly games. It is effectively Kaji Ultimate Survivor or Kakaguri, which is, well, minus the maid taking out her own eye, because that's why Kakaguri is the better show.
No, Bakura took out Pegasus's eye and killed him in the original.
Wasn't dressed as a maid. Doesn't count. That's what makes the Kakaguri scene so funny, that she's dressed as a maid the entire time, and it's never really explained. But yeah, then they make the card game and realize this will make us billions of dollars. Let's turn the entire anime into this and make billions of dollars. But it's also like they can never decide if did Pegasus make the game, or is the game made of magic? Because it's always like, oh, how will I beat the Egyptian god cards? Just use any of the 50 cards that clear the field. There's a load of them that do that. Just use any of the basics. And then they can never decide if the holograms hurt you or not. Because at the end they do the shadow game. Okay, cool. Magic is here. It hurts you. But why is Joey getting stabbed by a dude on the street with his magic fairy when he clearly deploys hologram pods? Why are we allowing this game where you get stabbed to happen? That feels like we should probably be cracking down on this.
It's because Seto Kaiba hacked his dual disc so that only Joey gets hurt.
Just Joey must suffer. Yeah, it is just weird. They can't decide, and it gets complicated. And we should also note the entire ending of this film makes no sense. Because it's for context. So we have Anubis, the god of the dead, because this is how Egypt works. Anubis does everything.
Just really quick, that is one thing that has always bothered me about majority of ancient Egyptian-based media, is that after the pre-dynastic period, Anubis was no longer the god of the dead. Anubis is the god of mummification. Osiris is the god of the dead. This is something that bothers me. It bothers me all the time, and it bothers me here too, because they had an Egyptologist on staff.
Would it work here because the whole idea is that Anubis stopped being the god of the dead to make more time to play card games?
I mean, I'm mildly okay with that, I guess. It's one of those things that genuinely does bother me, because if you crack a book for 2 seconds, it bothered me in the Mummy movies. It bothers me everywhere. Anubis is just a cool looking god, and everybody clung onto it. It's like the original furry character, and everybody clung onto it.
Yeah, but so he's been possessing Kaiba the entire time to make the Pyramid of Light that will destroy the world. Yada yada. But then he goes, Kaiba goes, no, I don't want to do that. My love for defeating Yugi, because I can't understand my own gender views so much, I can overcome the Egyptians. I will not let hope.
Yeah, it's his Majin Kaiba arc.
Yeah, but then Anubis becomes
always like this,
a physical being, and then another monster and goes, well, if the monsters are real, so is the damage they do. Wasn't the entire point of the Pyramid of Light that they were draining your energy? But then Yugi goes, well, I can now summon my dragon again, and this time it will blow you up, because this monster's also real, because equivalent exchange. Oh yeah, we've all got to show off our friendship hand symbol, which I'd forgotten that was.
Oh yeah,
when it all started glowing, I had a brief thought they all had eczema. I was like, oh, got a bit of a skin condition in the afterlife.
Yeah. No, that's where they show the Triforce, the sections of the Triforce they each have.
Yeah, it's a smiley face, by the way, for those of you who don't know. It's just a weird little smiley. Yeah, it is a smiley face that Taya drew on their 4 hands when Yugi went to go fight Kaiba.
Oh, I saw it. I saw they were glowing. I thought it could be like Tommy Oliver in Power Rangers. It could be, they're going to get taken over. It's going to be like, it's going up your own. No. It's we tattooed ourselves for Yugi, not for the Pharaoh though. He doesn't get tattoos. He's too cool for them.
Permanent marker.
Talking of children, can we point out, I have a theory. Did they forget T existed in this film? Because she gets lifted out by Joey and the one who isn't Joey and is much less interesting. Tristan, that's the one. They follow Yugi, they get knocked out, have their soul ripped out, dumped into Millennium Puzzle, as you do. But then T gets mind control to also join them 25 minutes later, entirely so we can have the look at our hands thing. I
sucked her soul out.
It did, but her eyes changed color, which is Yugi, because whenever they do the the magic stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's always the blank-eyed thing.
Yeah.
So I really got the feeling the writers were like, oh, we're gonna have them all in and fight the mummies. Oh wait, T isn't here. T jumps in anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Pegasus was not accepted into the afterlife for some reason.
Pegasus also is so annoyed during that scene where he's just like, girl, get in here.
I love Pegasus because he's James's voice actor, and James was like, the guy who did his voice was like, James isn't camp enough. That's the problem with James. I'm going to make the campest man in existence.
And
have
the only
him.
the only canonically straight character in Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. Very fun.
Oh, he's like, let's give him like Sephiroth hair and kind of make him sound a little closer to Whis. And I think we've got Pegasus.
Oh man, there is like a timeline that you can make going on to Whis. I also really like Whis, so that's probably why I like Whis, because I liked Pegasus as being this is over the top weirdo all the time. We should also mention this does have less censorship than the TV show in two notable marks. We say die, which is a first for Yu-Gi-Oh!
No Shadow Realm. Yeah.
No Shadow Realm. And we actually get to have Pegasus having his wine spritzers, not his juice spritzers.
And they moved from white wine to red wine spritzers, by the way. I do like that.
Was the funniest joke in the entire film. Because Pegasus goes, oh, no more white wine spritzers before bed, so he goes to red wine spritzers. That was a very good joke. It's a shame it's in this film. I can just see that in a John Waters film. Like, I can just see that gag working so well. Yeah. It's like, why did it have to be here?
I do want to take a minute to talk a little bit about Joey's voice actor. I don't remember the man's name. I do love Joey's voice actor because anytime Joey's in a scene but he's off screen, that voice actor will find a way to cut in a random ad-lib line. He did it in the main series and he does it here so beautifully. Like there's that moment where they're fighting the mummies and they cut to someone else and Joey's just like, nyeh, off screen, and it's so weird and I love it.
He drops a load of random references in this. It's quite funny.
He's from Brooklyn. You know, I love Joey Wheeler from Brooklyn. Not the only Joey Wheeler from Brooklyn on TV, by the way. Also the kid from Captain Planet, the fire kid.
Fire.
He was also Joey Wheeler from Brooklyn.
Oh.
Well, maybe it's kind of canonically the same person.
It's not the same kid. It's not the same guy. They just have the same name, and I'm kind of wondering if 4Kids named Joey that because of the Captain Planet character.
It must be some. I didn't know that. I always remember that there was a set of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that were Joey's deck, and they were written in his speech phonetically, which
no, because he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, it just made him on the cards made him sound illiterate.
I mean, yeah,
he's from Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn, the easternmost part of Long Island, New York.
How was this received in Japan? Because I know how it was received here.
Not well.
Do you know what? I could find absolutely nothing.
So it's that good, huh?
Yeah, I found a lot for the US, but no, all my sources for Japanese reception came up negative. I don't even know. I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh was as big in Japan. Someone can correct me on this, but it's one I hear about less when sort of searching around.
That makes sense because there's so much. Obviously Pokemon, but I remember Digimon was bigger I feel like a lot bigger in Japan than it ever was here. We've still had a variety of Digimon series and, Digimon Adventure, 01 and everything, but yeah, I can see Yu-Gi-Oh kind of getting crowded out of Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see less Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh cards floating around than I do like Japanese Pokemon cards and Japanese Magic cards.
The other cool thing that I do like about this movie, talking about the censorship a little bit too, is that they usually the 4Kids dub of Yu-Gi-Oh would change the monster designs. None of the monster designs from the cards are actually changed here, which is pretty cool, especially when Pegasus is having his initial duel with Kaiba and he's summoned the Toon Twin Elf. That card is usually censored because of the
cleavage,
the breastises.
There's a lot of boobage in Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of boobage in Yu-Gi-Oh, but they don't censor the cards, which is actually kind of fun.
We also notice they don't change the card designs either. Usually the face of the cards in Yu-Gi-Oh are changed because there's a rule that TV shows can't TV shows can't have what would be considered in-show advertising for their toys. And card games got the short end of the stick of that. It was like, you can't have it look like the real card the kid can buy because it would be an advert. But here, because it's a film, they got away with it.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is one of those weird franchises that does have a very special place in my heart. because I was actually a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament champion at one point in New York City when they did them at Toys R Us. Beat a lot of 20-year-old dudes at it because that was back when the game was more exploitable. But what I do like about both Yu-Gi-Oh movies, and I do like here, is that it's very clear that the dub cast it genuinely is enjoying themselves. Like they're having a good time. Like Dan Green is also just great as Yugi. He's great as the Pharaoh. Like I love Atem. By the way, if you ever want to know about the dynastic period that Atem is probably from, I wrote a whole treatise about that based on context clues. Because 5,000 years doesn't make any damn sense because that was actually changed. So
how tempting was it to just randomly slip a reference into Yu-Gi-Oh and hope no one got it, and then just know you've poisoned the discourse for many years?
Oh no, you don't understand. You know when they're in the Egyptology museum and they show that one plaque, I actually like paused the movie to read through it, and they actually took the time to put the actual details of the transition from the old kingdom to the middle kingdom to the new kingdom on. I read through it and I was like, this is mostly correct. Like it was kind of wild.
The Egyptology consultant broke in the night.
She did. She like if you watch the credits, you will go. They will say Egyptology consultant, and they will say who she is, and it's crazy. And also, some of the words that you hear in ancient Egyptian in this movie, they're more accurate than in the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser. Like there are actually some words that Anubis is speaking that I heard, and I was like, "That's a real word. These are real words that they are using." It's so wild the detail that went into that.
I kept mishearing that chanting as Norman every now and again. I kept saying like, no, Norman.
Like some of the chants actually were, some of the chants that they were referencing were specifically pieces from different prayers that you would have seen on walls in some of the Amun-Ra temples. So you can hear some of those words and they flow together and it's like, no, this is correct. This is accurate. It's really weird what they put their energy into in this movie.
That is bizarre.
That's so, the one thing the one thing they're like, we need to make sure we get this right.
it's so wild too. I do have to ask though, really quick for both of you, who is your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character? Because mine is clearly Seto Kaiba because he's so crazy. I love how crazy he is.
It's got to be Pegasus because as someone who, you know, if we're throwing anything, who has won awards for board game design and TTRPG design, I love the idea that you can make rules that make no sense to annoy people. It's a lot of fun. You should try it. Every game should have a rule that makes zero sense.
Yeah, I mean, Pegasus and Kaiba are definitely up there. I always liked Pharaoh because it was like, what if you had this alter ego that was just a taller, skinnier, deeper voiced version of yourself that with sharper drawn features.
So the puberty version of you?
I don't even know if it's puberty. I think it's just like it's what if you had a character that like was functionally Shazam, but like his alter ego was like handsome Squidward. That's basically the dichotomy here. So I always kind of liked Pharaoh because like whenever like you heard like that voice drop and the facial, it's like remember when whenever Saitama turns into like cool drawn Saitama and you're like, oh, we're about to get something now. It's kind of like what if we had an entire show built around that dynamic?
It's also interesting that the Pharaoh that Atem doesn't get much screen time in this movie. He's like barely there.
Yeah.
No, because I think they'd have to explain. Because I love how they brush off the Anubis thing with, but you fought Anubis. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, because he has amnesia still at this point in the plot.
Thanks, Atom. Very cool.
Yeah.
He does still have amnesia.
He does have amnesia, but it was still just how bluntly they just basically turned to the cameraman. I don't remember.
Yeah.
We've not written that page yet.
Yeah.
I do want to know why Yugi's grandpa lets him go out of the house in like leather pants. Like, why is he dressed head to toe in leather with a collar on?
But why
is this okay?
Why did Yugi's grandfather dress like a toddler?
That's well, awesome. He's an Egyptologist.
Also, why is his card store in a park? Why is it like designed to? It's also it looks like a capsule building from Dragon Ball.
Well,
It does look like a capsule
Weirdly
building.
Toriyama-esque.
yeah. I mean, at this point, Dragon Ball is functionally off the air for like close to a decade.
So the buildings can be taken and reused.
Yeah, they're like, oh well, Toei isn't doing anything with these architectural designs
They won't
anymore.
notice.
Yeah.
Grandpa does get one of my favorite lines in this movie, which is something this is making my pacemaker freak out.
Oh yes, yes, yeah.
Like,
What a weird detail.
I remember
way
like
more worried.
yeah, I was like sitting on my couch watching this movie last night, and I was just like, yep, this is just a big card game where everyone knows everyone's got a counter move for everything. Okay, and then that line came up. I was like, that was good. It's good. I'll remember that one.
I remember that.
Yugi, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Yugi, I'm dying is kind of his entire plot line throughout the entire.
I also just love the fact we have the second Millennium Puzzle, which is crystal colored. Because it immediately gave me just memories of all those cheap tokusatsu films where it's like, we need a new villain. Let's get the old one, paint him red. He's now Omega Bloodstalk. It's like, cool. Is he any different to the old one? No.
No. I also do know I'm harping on Seto Kaiba mainly because I love how unhinged he is. But again, I do need to bring in that WWE wrestling entrance that he gave himself for that duel with the holograms and the lasers. How long do you think it takes him to get this stuff ready?
That's what always threw me about this as a kid, because it's all hologram system. So whenever Yugi does something weird, Seto must have programmed that at some point. Like when they do the Turtle Castle fall, it's like, how'd you do that? You programmed it. You've obviously accounted for this.
Yeah. I mean, we know he spends a lot of time on all of this. I mean, we don't know how many simulations he's run with his deck before the duel, but it's got to be he's got to have run that for a while. Like he doesn't sleep. He just sits at his like faux competition things like, okay, now I finally have the perfect deck. I'll be ready.
Kaiba Psycho.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is like a Hashirama Madara situation where if they had just gone on like one date, this could have been avoided?
I mean, that is Dark Side of Dimensions, isn't it? Just
no, Dark Side of Dimensions is that the Pharaoh died and Kaiba said no. Like,
yeah,
that's really
he wants to go on a lovely Egyptian date.
Yeah.
He entered the duat. He literally entered the duat.
Look, we've all done weird things for love. I've not got that weird yet.
Yeah, I haven't crossed the river Styx yet, but I can be inspired by this.
It's on the list, yeah. It's just on the
Seto Kaiba, the romantic lead we all want to be.
Yeah. Does that also make Kaiba like Orpheus in this scenario?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Darcy, you've gone to the underworld. Before we end, we need to talk about. So, obviously, this film got terrible reviews. I feel some of them. It's funny because this is one of those films that is always going to review poorly because it is incomprehensible if you haven't seen the show. Critics by nature don't watch kid shows, but even then, some of the reviews are quite wacky. So, this film had a really poor box office. Opened at 2,411 screens in the US, grossed 19 million in the United States and Canada, and only made 29 million worldwide. That is flop to it. Keep in mind, Pokémon, biggest opening of the year. Let's try it again. Dies. So for several years, this was the lowest rated animated film on Metacritic until it was surpassed by the Emoji Movie.
Oh.
And so now it's only the second worst animated film on Metacritic. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it's the second lowest rated animated film of the 2000s, behind Happily Ever After, which I have never seen, and it looks crap. So that's poor. It currently sits at 6% critic score, 49% audience score. And would you like some nice review quotes?
Yes, please.
So this is from Cole Smithy, who's an independent critic. He's one of the top on Rotten Tomatoes. He likes his verbiage. Feature-length animated movie based on television series and manga comic book of the same name. It's like watching a Japanese video game being played on a movie screen. Recurring theme in these reviews is people are putting Japanese in front of everything. We're still not at the point where it can just exist. We have to remind you it's Japanese, so it can't be trusted. He goes on to say, This nutshell description shows the distance the writers have gone in order to win over the pocketbook of young boys who identify with Yugi. They fantasize about living in the abstract and cruel postmodern world that Yugi endures. A great deal of irony stems from the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Represents Japanese capitalist and wartime propaganda in one of its most sophisticated forms, a children's cartoon. Look, mate, I'll agree with you, the film's crap, but calling it wartime propaganda in 2004 is a little much.
That's crazy. That's insane.
And
It's like Rising Sun level racism.
It's weird because the rest of his review, I will give him credit, is perfectly acceptable. So yeah, okay, yeah, the film doesn't make much sense. The plot makes very little sense, and it's all cards. Cool, but it's not war. Like, it's not Japanese government propaganda.
Yeah, it's like Chin Pokemon level shit.
Also, Mark Collette from the Tyler Morning Telegraph in Texas I couldn't find the full review. I only found a quote from it, and it's so bizarre. Looks like Transformers on speed. The Autobots take Japan.
I'd watch that movie.
I would, but also, Mr. Collette, if the email is in the bio, please send me an email explaining what in the world that phrase means.
Yeah, I need to know what if the Autobots were on speed. Huh.
I guess it's like saying the Transformers animated movies were also incomprehensible, but this one's Japanese.
There have only been 2 animated Transformers movies, by the way. There have only been 2.
Well, maybe you didn't like both of them.
And they're both actually pretty good.
Transformers 1 is great, and the first one is great. How dare he?
What's pretty good and positive?
that was the review.
Not you. I'm talking about that guy.
That was the reviews for this film. Like, they're so I get this isn't a good film. I'm not going to say it's a good film, but sometimes some of these reviews, like, you're going a little bit too hard on this. And we're going to round out by saying that the Toonami promo for this is interesting. Because it shows the final battle with Anubis, all the clips from it. Like, oh, Yugi has to call on the Pharaoh one last time. But yeah, it shows you Anubis' human form, shows the Egyptian god card, shows the new dragon card, totally ruining the twist of the movie and the climax. So thanks for that, Toonami.
I think Toonami just wanted to be like, it's just not just another Yugi and Kaiba fight, even though most of the movie is just another Yugi and Kaiba fight.
They had the early vision where Anubis is in his dog head form. They could have used that for the same effect.
Yeah.
No, they just didn't want you to watch the movie. They were just like, no, this is the end. You don't have to watch it. But
Tom just looks at the camera, save yourself.
Yeah.
We have time for quick final thoughts, so let's hear it. What are your final thoughts?
I think I had a better time with this movie than I should, only because I knew I was coming to talk about it here. This is one of those films that I think is great for a podcast. It's full of so much hilarious nonsense. Probably wouldn't have had a good time if I was watching this for the sake of enjoying it as a movie.
I enjoyed this talk. There.
One day I'm not going to torture you, Sam, I promise.
We'll see what your next movie pick is.
I'm going to have to pick something good next time.
We've got
Is that your final thought?
Take us home.
My final thought is I love Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a bad movie, but full disclosure, Reanimator is my favorite movie of all time, and my dad was also in one of the worst movies ever made, so I like bad movies. That's just kind of my thing. But regardless of that, we have pulled into our final destination, and Kaiba will not duel you when you disembark from Toonami Absolution. That's right. It is time for us to say goodbye. We want to thank you once again for joining us as we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang. It's time to duel.